Greetings and welcome to Crafty Taps. I'm Tom.
And I'm Shannon. Tonight we're going to be talking about JailHouse Brewing. It's in Hampton, Georgia, which is south of the Atlanta area, not too far from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And you gotta love JailHouse Brewing. It's the only time you really want to go to the jailhouse.
You know, Shannon, I don't like to talk about brew and jail together under any circumstances. But anyway, in the brew room here at JailHouse, they have the majority of their materials that they use to brew their beer. They got from the now defunct Buckhead Brewery, and the tours that they give are listed on their website. Thursday's sort of special. They have Lockdown Thursday, the times listed here below, but it's a more intimate setting here. Did you like the intimate setting?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of had to just go and ask for a tour, and you could jump in on one that was already happening, or in our case, we got a private tour from a gentleman in the brew house. So there wasn't a set time. You just kind of got some information. It was really more of a Q&A type situation.
Yeah, so Kevin, the guy that was leading our tour, was fantastic, and we gave a lot of questions. He fielded them all, and then he did sort of the traditional brewery tour, walked us through sort of each steps of the brewing process, and gave a little background on the company.
It's a very small facility, but they are very proud of what they do, and he seemed to really enjoy working for the company.
And with that said, one final note is it is kind of small, particularly in the brew room, and maybe Thursday night's a good night to go because a larger group might not be so informative or comfortable to take this tour.
Very true. I really enjoyed their beers. I started with their usual suspect, the Slammer Wheat, which had a lot more flavor than some wheats. Some wheats can be a little bit, although I enjoy them, a little bit kind of plain. This one had a lot of flavor. I really enjoyed it. Then I tried some of their seasonals. Some of them are listed here. Some were newer than what they even have on their website. They do that rotation quite a bit. I enjoyed the Reprieve Saison, very good, and the Alibi Cream Ale. I had been put off previously with the name cream ale because it seemed like it wouldn't be something I would like, but I actually really enjoy that type of beer. I also enjoyed the Imperial Red Ale. I don't like beers that are too hoppy or too bitter, and all of these really had a nice combination of flavor but still not being too bitter.
And I'm much more of the hop fan of this team, and so I started with their misdemeanor ale, which was very nice. It was dark color, had a little caramel taste to it, and then I moved on to the IPAs. I had the Mugshot IPA, their flagship beer to begin with, which was very nice. It wasn't terribly hoppy. It had more of an ale aftertaste. And then speaking of ale, I did try their red ale, and then after that I had the Double D. It's a seasonal. It's not listed here. It's one of the ones they were serving that day. It's a double 4D. I'm sorry, not double D. 4D IPA, which was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. That was my favorite beer of the evening.
So the tap room is not really a room. It's more of a concrete kind of yard outside of the brew room. It was very sunny. There was a little bit of shade, not a lot. Still, there were lots of people pouring in there on a Thursday night and managed to find somewhere to stand and hunker down with their friends.
One thing to be careful of, there was one little shaded area with a picnic table, and but then over on the other side they had a small little canopy which had a slight shade, but that we found out was reserved for a smoking area, so non-smokers may not want to go over there. And then they had the ubiquitous cornhole games. Their little area is all concrete. That's sort of the tap room area and entertainment area, which the one thing that I thought was very interesting is they had the classic Twister game, but it was painted onto the concrete. Ouch.
Yeah, especially in the sun. So I'm always curious about the history of a name behind a brewery, and this one does not disappoint. It's called JailHouse Brewing because it is in a building that used to be a combination jailhouse, city hall, and firehouse for the city of Hampton many years ago. And you still get that feel when you're on the inside that it is an old building and that it does have some history to it.
And so they've got, actually, as you can see in this picture here, they've got some of the bars that were formerly from the building when it was a jail. And then over to the right of that is one of the shaded areas. They have, for your social media, they've got the mugshot area where you can hold up a little plate and that sort of thing and get your picture taken with your beer.
So another thing that was interesting, they had been focusing a lot of their brewing capacity on making Alibi be the cream ale because it is going to be next month's beer of the month at Taco Mackin in the Atlanta area. So JailHouse Brewing and all of their information out there on the web talks about being American style beers, that's their area of focus, their specialty. I tend to really be more interested in the Belgian beers, but I liked every beer that I drank at JailHouse Brewing, so the American style is one out tonight for me.
And in terms of other JailHouse merchandise, they have a merchandising room, but it's up in the very front, and it wasn't being manned very well, particularly maybe it's on the Thursday night lock-in, I don't know. But if you want a t-shirt or hat or extra mugs or that sort of thing, and then with the new laws in Georgia, you can get a growler in that sort of business, you might want to ask somebody about it because they're not really really driving the marketing and the merchandising home the way some of the other companies do.
So all in all, we highly recommend a visit to the small town of Hampton, Georgia to visit JailHouse Brewing. It is a little bit off the beaten path compared to some of the other metro area breweries, but it is worth the trip. They're making good beers, they're passionate about what they do, and although they don't have a lot of room to grow in their current site, we do anticipate some growth out of them. You may see them in a larger range of areas in the future.
Yeah, absolutely is worth the trip down to Hampton for a visit to this brewery. And then also another thing to consider is if you're a race fan, is very close to the NASCAR, to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. You might want to check that out if you're down for the weekend for that. So we were here on a Thursday night, and then bright and early the next morning we were off to Chicago. So we'll be sharing with you 3 more brewery crafty taps from our stops in the Windy City. I'm Tom. Till next time.
And I'm Shannon. Enjoy your crafty taps.